Today we have to discuss American literature. Actually, English literature is not the sole property of England. It has become a transnational or global or international phenomenon. Wherever English speaking world is found, the English literature is also seen. Its examples include Australian literature, Canadian literature, American literature, Indian English literature, Pakistani Anglophone literature, and Caribbean literature. So, English literature in modern times is not only the literature produced by Englishmen. Englishmen mean the man who was born and brought up in England. America, that has a history of British colonialism as well, that became an independent nation in 1776. Afterwards, different states joined that union, and we see the present day America that contains 52 states, and it is called USR, United States of America. Here, dominant language is English, though Spanish is also a language that is a cultural language of significant part of USA. But our concern is English literature, and English literature in America that belongs to the certain states which you can say as a group, they are called New England because of their certain trends, including English language, Puritan way of life, the tradition of white Anglo people, white Anglo race, and we see a long history of American literature as well. We can say which root can be traced in 15th century. But in our courses of American literature, mostly late 19th century and major 20th century writers and their works are included. From 19th century literature, we are only aware of writers who either belong to the tradition of American Romanticism. I mean the two great poets, Walt Whitman and his forerunner, R.W. Emerson. Emerson as a nature poet, a poet of nature, Emerson as a poet of mystic voice, Emerson as a transcendental poet. He is seen as a romantic poet. Walt Whitman, another American poet, is also known for his great works like The Songs of Grass and Song of Myself. He is a poet who is thought poet of humanism, poet of romantic celebrations, and poet of American national image or American national self. There is another prose writer, Thoreau, who is believed to be a visionary prose writer of the time, who writes about nature, American distinct philosophical or intellectual tradition. And he, in many ways, he is taken as a forerunner of an environmental tradition of literature. In fiction, we come across two major writers, I can say. One is a realist fiction writer, Nathaniel Hawthorne. Nathaniel Hawthorne short story Rappaccini's Daughter, you have read, and his great novel is The Scarlet Letter, which is about Salem. That's a Puritan town that was also mentioned in Arthur Miller's play The Crucible. So Puritans and their conflict with human aspirations, the way how the protagonist of the Scarlet Letter becomes a victim of persecution in a Protestant society or Puritan society, where a woman is forced to put on a letter of adultery, you can say for the sake of public stigma or public shame. And she chooses red or scarlet letter that shows, you can say, how puritanical shame is converted into vitality of life. Other novelist is the novelist of what we say a realist adventurous tradition. I mean the novelist who is known for the true spirit of American way of life and adventure. I mean Melville, Herman Melville and his masterpiece Moby Dick. Another poet of late Victorian age is sometime included in our syllabus. I mean Emily Dickinson. She is a mystic poet who writes about the themes of eternity, immortality, death. She wrote about 1800 poems, and there were dominantly the theme of death. In her poetry, death appears as a friend, as a companion that leads the mortal soul of human being to the immortal eternal world. You have read her poem Because I Couldn't Stop for Death, that shows a journey from birth to immortality and shows that life and death, they travel in a carriage together, and that carriage is actually heading towards immortality or eternity. They pass through the school where children are playing the childhood stage. They pass through the gazing grain, mean the stage of youth, and they come across the setting sun, the stage of old age. And then there is death, and the death leads to eternity, where the mortal life has no worth, no significance. Poetess claims that since our death, centuries have passed, but it seems the shorter than the day. She is a writer of personal experience, individual aspirations. Soul selects her own society. That is a title of another poem by Emily Dickinson.